things been since we last talked?
Not good. Since I've been back from Iraq, I've been completely useless. I can't do anything right.
What do you mean by that?
I got fired from my job when I went off on my boss. And my wife is always complaining that I don't want to go out with family, to dinner or the movies or anything. And then this weekend, this guy cut me off on the highway and slammed on his brakes. I got so pissed off, and we got into it. Cussing, yelling, flipping each other off. When I got home, I just thought, I'm done. I tried to hang myself, but when I stepped off the stool, the stupid rope broke immediately, and I just fell to the floor. I mean, how can I not even do that right?
You've had a lot on your shoulders these last few months. Now, can you tell me a little bit more about when you tried to hang yourself? What exactly happened?
I got home from the road rage incident. I pulled in the garage and I saw this long rope I've had there for a while. And I just thought, I'm so worthless. I'm hurting my family more than I'm helping them. I even put my son at risk because he was in the car when I got into it with that guy. I'm not bringing in any money. I can't stand to be around people. My family would be better off if I were dead. I sent my son inside. I made a noose out of the rope, wrapped it around a beam in the garage. I stepped on the stool and I jumped. But the stupid rope broke and I just fell to the ground.
Thank you for telling me a little bit about that. Now, when you stepped off the stool and it broke, were you injured at all from that?
No, not really.
Okay.
Just my ego, I guess. I mean, how can I not even do that right?
No physical injuries at all? Any marks from the rope or anything like that?
I mean, I had some rope burn around my neck,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure that's an injury.
Okay, so how would you classify this event? So beginning with the first 3 questions again, let's determine if there was behavior present.
So he definitely engaged in behavior by putting the noose around his neck and jumping.
So yes, there was indication that he engaged in self-directed violent behavior that was potentially harmful. So we're going to proceed to question 3. Did the behavior involve any injury?
He denied that he was physically hurt, but he did acknowledge having some rope burn. Let me look at the definition of injury again just to make sure I get this right. So the definition makes me think that this should be a yes. It would be similar to a laceration.
Great. So the prompt then is going to take us to decision tree C. And first, was the injury fatal?
No, it was not.
Good. So what's next?
Was the behavior interrupted by self or other?
Okay. What do you think about this?
No, it wasn't interrupted. He didn't stop himself before jumping, and no one walked in on him or interrupted him at all. And I suppose that the rope breaking wouldn't be an interruption either, because an interruption has to do with an act by a person and not by a thing like a rope breaking.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So on the back of the clinical tool, when we refer to the definition of interrupted by self or other, it states here, a person takes steps to injure self but is stopped by self or another person prior to fatal injury. So to your point, the rope breaking doesn't meet the criteria. So the last question then is there any evidence of suicidal intent here?
I would say yes. He describes feeling worthless and thinking that his family would be better off if he did this.
Okay, so just to be sure, let's take a step back and review intent again. So remember, there's 3 key elements of intent. For intent to be present, there must be evidence that the veteran wishes to die, means to kill himself, and understands the probable consequences of his actions. So it's best to ask the veteran about these and let them give you the information that you need to make the correct classification. We just don't want to rely on our own assumptions, but based on what the veteran told you here, could you answer all 3 of these components? And maybe let's start with the first one. Did he wish to die when he engaged in the behavior?
Yeah, he said his family would be better off if he were dead. And he described thinking, "I'm done," right before making the news.
Right, so there's explicit indication that he wished to die. What about the other 2 elements, that he meant to kill himself and that he understood the probable consequence of his actions? You may have implicit evidence at times, but the best way to clarify a veteran's intent when engaging in behaviors is to ask them directly about it. So if you could go back to the session, how might you ask the veteran about all 3 of these elements to make sure you're getting all the information you need?
Wondering if we could go back for a minute and think about that moment just right before you stepped off the stool. In that moment, would you say, was it your wish to die?
Yes. I've been thinking about it for a while, and that was just the last straw. I wanted it all to be over.
Been having that thought for some time. Just got to a place where you just wanted it to be over. Now, did you mean to kill yourself by doing that? Or was there any other type of motivation? Like, were you trying to feel better?
No. I wanted to die. I don't have any guns around, so I figured hanging would do the job.
It sounds like you understood that trying to hang yourself really could end your life, could kill you.
Yes. That's what I wanted to happen.
So I can definitely see that just by asking him about those 3 elements, I have a more clear understanding of his intent. And it's not based on my own assumptions.
Great. So what is your understanding of his intent?
Since he acknowledges all 3 elements, I can say that he did have suicidal intent here.
Good work. Good. So what's the correct term?
So the correct term is suicide attempt with injury.
Great.